Everyone knows iron replaced bronze because it was stronger, sharper, better. That's what we've been told. Superior technology wins. End of story. Except the archaeological evidence says something completely different. Early iron swords were actually worse than bronze. Softer, weaker, more prone to breaking. So why did iron win? The answer has nothing to do with quality and everything to do with one catastrophic event that changed warfare forever. The material truth. Let's start with what bronze actually is. It's an alloy, roughly 90% copper and 10% tin. When mixed correctly, bronze creates a metal that's hard, holds an edge well, and resists corrosion. By 1500 BCE, bronze smiths had perfected their craft over 1,000 years. They knew exactly how to cast blades, how to work the metal, how to create weapons that could last generations. Bronze swords from this period are remarkable. Leaf-shaped blades, carefully balanced, with edges that could be sharpened to razor quality. Archaeological finds show bronze swords that survived centuries of use with minimal damage. The technology was mature, refined, and highly effective. Now compare that to early iron. The bloomery process, the earliest iron smelting technique, produced a spongy mass of iron mixed with slag and impurities. Smiths had to hammer this repeatedly, heating and folding, trying to drive out the slag. The result was wrought iron, soft and inconsistent. Early iron swords were objectively inferior to bronze. They couldn't hold as sharp an edge. They bent or deformed under stress that bronze would handle easily. And they rusted. Bronze develops a protective patina. Iron corrodes, weakening the blade over time. Experimental archaeology has proven this. Researchers created replica bronze and early iron swords using period-accurate techniques, then tested them in combat scenarios. Bronze outperformed early iron in nearly every measure. Sharper edges, better edge retention, superior durability. So if bronze was better, why did it lose? The tin problem. Bronze requires two metals, copper and tin. Copper was relatively common across the ancient world. You could find copper deposits in Cyprus, Anatolia, the Balkans, Iberia, but tin was rare, extremely rare. The major tin sources in the Bronze Age were in Afghanistan, Cornwall and Britain, and possibly Iberia and Brittany. To create bronze weapons in Greece, Egypt, or Anatolia, you needed tin from thousands of miles away. This required extensive trade networks, ships crossing the Mediterranean, caravans traveling overland routes, merchants connecting distant regions. For over 1,000 years, these networks functioned. Tin flowed from the edges of the known world to the bronze-producing centers. Empires rose on the strength of these connections. The Mycenaeans, the Hittites, the Egyptians, all depended on bronze weapons, which meant they depended on international tin trade. Then, around 1200 BCE, everything collapsed. The Bronze Age collapse. Within a span of roughly 50 years, the entire eastern Mediterranean world disintegrated. The Hittite Empire, one of the great powers of the age, completely vanished. Mycenaean Greece collapsed into a dark age. Major cities across the Levant were destroyed. Egyptian power declined dramatically. Trade networks that had connected the ancient world for centuries broke down completely. Historians still debate what caused this collapse. Sea peoples invasions, climate change, drought, earthquake storms, systems collapse. Probably all of these factors combined. But the result was undeniable. The interconnected Bronze Age world shattered, and with it, the tin supply vanished. Suddenly, bronze-producing centers couldn't get tin. Existing bronze became incredibly valuable. Recycling old weapons and tools became essential, but you can't equip armies with recycled scraps. You can't maintain military power when your weapon supply has been cut off. This is where iron enters the picture. Not because someone invented a better technology, but because bronze became impossible to obtain. The iron alternative. Iron ore is everywhere. Nearly every region of the ancient world had accessible iron deposits. You didn't need international trade networks. You didn't need rare materials from Afghanistan or Cornwall. You needed local ore and the knowledge to smelt it. The knowledge existed. Iron smelting had been practiced in Anatolia and the Near East since at least 2000 BCE, possibly earlier. But as long as bronze was available and superior, there was no reason to invest in iron production. Iron was a curiosity, occasionally used for small tools or ornaments, but not for weapons. When tin supplies collapsed, that calculation changed instantly. Iron was available, bronze wasn't. Quality didn't matter, availability did. This is the real reason iron replaced bronze. Economic necessity, not technological superiority. The transition. The shift from bronze to iron took centuries and varied dramatically by region. In Anatolia and the Near East, iron weapons became common by 1000 BCE. In Greece, the transition happened during the Dark Ages, roughly 1100 to 800 BCE. In parts of Europe, bronze remained dominant until 700 BCE or later. During this transition, we see fascinating patterns in the archaeological record. Bronze weapons become rare and are treated as prestige items. They're carefully maintained, repaired when damaged, and often deposited in graves or as offerings to gods. This suggests bronze retained high value even as it became scarce. Iron weapons, meanwhile, appear in increasing quantities but often show crude workmanship. Early iron swords are frequently simple, undecorated, and show signs of poor quality control. These aren't the weapons of choice, they're the weapons of necessity. Some cultures tried to maintain bronze production as long as possible. In Greece, bronze armor remained common even after iron swords became standard. Elite warriors continued using bronze weapons as status symbols, but for equipping armies, iron became the only viable option. The Greek Dark Ages illustrate this starkly. Material culture declined dramatically, monumental architecture stopped, writing disappeared for centuries, and bronze objects became extremely rare. Iron filled the gap not because it was preferred, but because nothing else was available. If you're realizing everything you thought about ancient technology was wrong, hit subscribe now. When iron actually became better. Iron's technological superiority came later. Much later, with the development of carburization and steel production. This process took centuries of experimentation. Carburization happens when you heat iron in contact with charcoal. Carbon atoms diffuse into the iron's surface, creating a harder outer layer. Ancient smiths probably discovered this accidentally. They noticed that iron heated repeatedly in charcoal forges became harder, held better edges. By around 800 to 600 BCE, smiths across the Mediterranean and Near East had developed carburization techniques. They learned that prolonged heating in charcoal, followed by quenching in water or oil, created edges harder than bronze could achieve. This was early steel, though ancient smiths didn't understand the chemistry. Steel could hold sharper edges than bronze. It could be made harder at the edge while remaining flexible in the core. And crucially, it could survive edge-to-edge contact without deforming. Bronze swords couldn't do this. Hit two bronze blades together edge to edge, and both edges deform or chip. This changed combat fundamentally. With bronze, you avoided blade-on-blade contact. You used shields for defense, swords for offense. With steel, blade engagement became viable. You could parry with your sword, bind an opponent's weapon, use complex techniques that bronze combat couldn't support. This drove the development of handguards, crossguards, and more sophisticated hilts. These features appear on iron and steel swords from around 800 BCE onward, but are absent from Bronze Age weapons. The material enabled new tactics which required new designs. But here's the critical point. This technological superiority came 400 years after iron had already replaced bronze as the standard military material. The replacement happened first, for economic reasons. The quality improvement came later. The military revolution. The shift to iron transformed warfare and society in ways that had nothing to do with blade quality. Bronze Age warfare was aristocratic. Bronze weapons were expensive, requiring international trade and skilled craftsmen. Only elites could afford them. Armies were small, composed of warrior nobles and their retainers. Iron democratized warfare. When any region could produce weapons locally from abundant ore, equipping large armies became economically feasible. The cost per weapon dropped dramatically. Suddenly, you could arm thousands instead of hundreds. This enabled the rise of mass armies. The Assyrian military machine that dominated the Near East from 900 to 600 BCE depended on iron weapons. The Greek hoplite phalanx, composed of citizen soldiers, required affordable weapons and armor. The Roman legions that conquered the Mediterranean world equipped tens of thousands of soldiers with iron and steel weapons. None of this would have been possible with bronze. The economics simply wouldn't work. The social impact was equally profound. When common citizens could afford weapons, they gained political power. The rise of Greek democracy correlates directly with iron weapons. Hoplite warfare required armed citizens. Those citizens demanded political rights. Iron weapons enabled that transformation. What this really means. The Iron Revolution reveals how technological change actually works. We want to believe that better technology automatically wins, that superior tools drive out inferior ones through obvious advantage, that progress is linear and rational. But that's not what happened. Iron replaced bronze because catastrophic collapse made bronze unavailable. Iron was the accessible alternative, even though it was worse. Only after iron became standard did centuries of development make it actually superior. This pattern repeats throughout history. New technologies often start worse than what they replace. They win for reasons other than quality. economic factors, availability, scalability. Then they improve because they've already won. Early firearms were less accurate than bows and slower to reload. They won anyway because you could train a musketeer in weeks while training an archer took years. Early automobiles were less reliable than horses. They won because of scalability and infrastructure investment. Early digital cameras produced worse images than film. They won because of convenience and cost. The story we tell about iron swords is backwards. We say iron won because it was better. The truth is, iron won because bronze became impossible, then became better because it had already won. That's not a story about superior technology triumphing. It's a story about collapse, adaptation, and economic reality. And understanding that difference changes everything about how we see technological progress.